I've got some stuff to set up over here.
I too have an audience.
Yeah, but
It does.
Come on, man.
I'm gonna move stuff around.
Enough jokes.
I'm not gonna bring it up. We don't need 3 copies of it going at the same time.
Well, I only need the one. I just need, well, I guess that, but this way, if anyone pops in. Oh, my legs are asleep already.
Oh, you poor dear.
Well, I was sitting on them.
Your little old mom is doing better than you are.
Oh, my legs are asleep already. Catherine says hello.
Hey.
Hey, Catherine.
Oh, I guess I should put the mic. Could you hold this while I turn the light up?
No, because the sucker is cold.
Got a heated blanket right here.
Okay. Everyone's audio is good on mine, and we lost Emily already. That was quick.
Now we got her pants.
Yeah, you had her legs. That's about all we had of her. There we go.
Okay, I am going to be reading notes from my phone for most of this.
Alright, it says Tanner is muted, so we'll just turn you up.
I am muted?
He's not muted. You're just quiet.
Oh, I'm just quiet?
I know you.
Hang on.
I can come in more if I need to.
Well, for some reason my desktop audio is off.
We're professionals.
I don't know if I'm going to leave that little ASMR in there.
Should.
Okay. Everybody talk real quick?
Ah! How was that?
Well,
Gotta
wait for
pop with eggs.
Where's the verdict?
You gotta do it like that.
Fixed. Okay.
Okay, cool. We're good.
Fixed? Good? Everything's good?
Yep.
I can
Everything's
adjust
as
some
good as it
settings.
will.
I can turn up my gain.
No, you're good.
Okay. Are y'all ready for a story?
Always.
Yeah? Okay. I don't know, should we, introduce ourselves or something?
Wait, give me, one more second.
Oh, no.
Quality content.
Oh, this is why we're as big as we are.
Yeah, I did ask Emily if anybody watches besides me and your mom, Tanner.
Yes.
Maybe.
I had a girl I was
I'll
seeing
throw out a
listen
maybe.
once.
I think on YouTube, we're sitting in the 60s on our video views, which is weird. I didn't think anyone went to YouTube to listen to podcasts. Which is cool, I guess. But for the most part, I mean, we get some listeners on our regular outlets.
Yeah, that echo's gonna be there. We can't do anything about that. Oops. Alright, that's
Echo?
as good as it looks. Okay, I am ready.
Echo.
Well, because I have you guys through the TV because I don't have headphones.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I have headphones, but only a headset.
Okay. Let me turn up the brightness on my phone, because I can't read.
I don't know, Catherine, probably. Maybe.
What is she
Last
saying?
week I
Is she
thought
talking
part of
about me?
She said, "Is this the crew for the night?" And I said,
Is
"I
this
don't know
Anna?
yet." So,
Wes might be joining us later.
who?
Wes?
Yes. Okay. Just give
I'm
me
gonna text him and tell him.
an
You gotta,
hour
like,
heads
roll
up.
into it.
That's fine.
Okay.
We'll just go without the names if he comes up.
So, I'm gonna tell a story, and it's one hopefully everyone's pretty familiar with. Do we want to introduce ourselves? I keep
Yeah,
thinking
I was
about
just
that.
going to ask that.
I'm Tanner.
First.
That's all for now.
Yeah, but we spoke over it, so you have to do it.
Oh, I'm Tanner.
Ah,
I'm
hi,
Norm.
Tanner. Oh, sorry, I talked over.
Quarantine's hitting hard. Go ahead, Norm.
You're telling me
Oh, it's my turn? No. It's fine. I am Norm.
Okay.
I'm Mom.
and I'm daughter.
Very
But yeah,
good.
quarantine is hitting hard. I impulse drove 1,000 miles to come and see my mom.
1,000 miles into the ocean.
Yeah, without spending the night somewhere
No, I napped at a rest stop.
for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good nap. Is it actually
It was a
1,000
good
miles?
1,004. Yeah.
What? I thought you were exaggerating.
How long did that trip take?
I never exaggerate. 18 hours?
That's
no,
insane.
I
And you just
recognize
casually
that.
shoot a text like, "Hey, I'm going to be out of town." You
I
didn't
did
tell
do
us
that.
everything that was going into it.
Oh, she did the same thing to me. She's like, "Hey,
I was like, no, I said,
I'm
trying to
thinking about
figure out-
driving up."
No, I said, I'm trying to figure a way I'm trying to figure out how I can get up there. And Catherine says she barely told me to. I didn't tell anybody. I just left. I was talking with Avalon while we were at work about it. And I was like, I just really, because Mom was sending me pictures of up here. I can say we're in Colorado in the mountains. And I was like, man, I just want to go up there. And she's like, why don't you? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
and then
that's
she tried to talk
rational.
me out of it because we got off at 8 and I left at 10. And then I got here at
Like 4 or 5 the next afternoon.
It was a mistake.
That's
I'll
like
just say that. I should have done it in 2 days, but
that's
I didn't.
how horror movies start.
Look, I didn't die. I only almost did.
Okay,
Yeah,
then we're
I
good.
Trip, so
But I'm here, and then I'll be back. I'll be back.
Well,
I almost hit 2 animals. Well, yeah, I almost hit deer. I almost hit antelope, and I did hit a mystery animal. But it didn't damage my car.
oh no.
I felt terrible about it for the last.
I like that look
several
on
days.
Tanner's face. That's awesome.
I don't know. I went around a curve at 75, and it was probably someone's dog
Ooh.
because it was too big to be a coyote, but it was about the coloring of a coyote, and
It might
Catherine
have
said
been
she looks like an
Mothman.
animal. That's true. Oh, and I do have a quick story to tell you guys about. I thought I found a body.
okay.
Well,
So I was.
Tanner didn't want to tell the story.
I'm sorry. This is
no,
super
no.
quick.
This, yeah.
I drove past this
Oh, I
thing.
forgot this is Tanner's thing. All right. Yeah.
Sorry. I drove past this thing like 3 or 4 times. I turned around a handful of times. I was convinced someone just threw a naked body on the side of the road. And so eventually I pulled up on it. At this point, it was probably like 2 a.m., so I'd only been going for 4 hours. And so I know. And I was in the middle of nowhere. So I was like, if there's
It's a
gonna
good
be
body drop.
if there's gonna be a body here, like this would be where it is. Yeah, only 2 a.m. But I finally pulled up on it because I was like, I'm not prepared to find this, but I'm gonna feel guilty if I don't verify what it is. So I drove. It was a piece of cardboard that was. It looked like legs. Like I almost took a picture of it because I knew that you would make that face, Norm, and. But I was like, you know what? I didn't find a body today. It's time to go. But I was upset. I was like, I'm gonna have to call the cops. I don't even know where I am.
You were okay. I was confused about what you were upset about for a second there.
Finding a body,
Okay, not finding a body.
Finding a not body.
like not
She
Okay.
thought
finding
it
a
was a
body.
body. That's what upset
Not
her.
finding
not
a
the-
body was very good. That was
Well-
a relief.
Okay.
Can I play devil's advocate a little bit here?
Imagine
about the
story.
podcast.
I know
No,
that.
absolutely,
I know that.
absolutely.
But the
That's like
thing is,
instant pain.
but you guys know how fragile I am as a human. Like if I
Yes,
found a
that's
body,
true.
I would never be the same.
And we can capitalize that. that's what America's about.
Oh man, if Emily found a body, we'd be hearing about it for the next like 2 years. Oh no. Did I lose y'all?
Right.
Everyone froze.
Oh, you're moving again. Okay.
Okay. Who's
Now
moving
I can hear
again?
you again.
We need like a power up.
Okay. I think
Also, I forgot my mic stand. That's the end of my stories. Okay.
but you brought your mic. That's good.
Yes, and that's the important part.
Okay. Where were we?
You were going to tell us the story.
I was gonna tell you a story.
Sorry.
So you drove forever I'm going to tie this back. Maybe you should have taken a plane, like a normal human being, or
I'm not trying to catch the Rona.
or like oh yeah, I don't even think they have planes anymore. I guess those are gone.
Yeah,
People
they don't have
still.
planes anymore.
You can fly again, right?
I don't know. I think I hear one outside my window.
I'm sure they'll take your money.
Yeah, give you a non-refundable ticket
also,
that won't be any good. Anyway, don't get me started on airlines. My last experience was rough.
you're telling me I was stuck in
I
Cleveland.
flew Spirit.
Oh,
That was your
enough said.
mistake.
Enough said.
It's like I think they sat us on cardboard to fly. It was.
Yeah,
I thought it was a body, but
like an 8-year-old too.
It's crazy. Like they're like half seats. Anyway,
They were small for me, and I'm a lot smaller than you are.
That's
they
true.
My knees were up.
I mean, you don't
against
have to
the
say it
seat
like
behind
that,
me, and I'm 5'3".
Look, she's been dieting. She's been working a lot, so.
I have not. At all. So, this is a story about a plane. Not really. On November 24th, 1971, that should set off some bells for someone. A man purchased a plane ticket from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. About a 30-minute flight for about $20 he paid for that ticket. So probably Spirit.
Yeah.
I think it was Northwest Orient was the airline. Anyway, so this was pre-9/11. There weren't many requirements. He paid cash, and all he had to do was leave his name on a paper log at the desk. Dan Cooper.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Norman? Any experience with Dan Cooper?
Absolutely not.
Okay, cool.
More
Then
than
this will be more fun than I thought, because I assumed everyone would have heard about it.
Just me.
So,
And me.
Okay.
Dan...
Podcast is the fact that Emily knows everything and I know literally nothing.
It's going to be fun. I was writing this out. I was like, why am I even doing this? But it was for Norman.
Exactly.
So, Dan is described as being between 5'10 and 6 feet even, tall, mid-40s.
Just doing this.
Tall, mid-40s. He wore loafers, a dark suit, a pressed white collar, a black tie, a dark raincoat, and a mother-of-pearl tie pin. That might be important later. It might not. It is. Dan boarded the flight with around 36 other passengers and crew and took his seat toward the back of the plane. It was a Boeing 727, which is important. I'll get into why later. Yeah, I'll just save that. It's cool. I had to look up schematics for this plane, though.
Ooh.
He lit up a cigarette and ordered a bourbon and soda. You could smoke on planes back then.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after takeoff, with his bourbon and soda, he passed a note to Florence Scheffner, a stewardess who was sitting in the jump seat next to him. Or just kind of near him, not next to him. She took the note and just put it in her pocket. Like you do, you know? Someone hands you a note, you don't even look at it. Just straight in the pocket. Or her purse, it depends on who you ask. And this is when Dan is quoted as leaning over and saying, "Miss, you'd better take a look at that note. I have a bomb." Very polite.
That's a very forward way to hit on
The note's just his
I don't
phone
think
number.
that'll get you a date, though.
You never know.
Oh, hello. It's my own little tiger.
Aww.
Okay, that's enough.
Dad, how dare you?
Yeah, it's your airtime. So Florence read the note, and no one knows exactly what it said because he requested the note back, which is interesting. But it was something to the effect of, I have a bomb in my briefcase, I'll use it if necessary, and that he would like for her to come sit next to him as you are being hijacked, with quotes. Very suave, in my opinion.
I mean,
I picked this, by the way, because, like, I love this guy, and I don't know why. just so much.
okay, that's alarming.
Well, wait till you hear about it.
This is one of those things that definitely happened.
Yeah.
So he like
And he's just so suave, doing crimes in a suit. I love it. So Florence then asked to see the bomb, which I think is Just awesome.
Honestly, a loaded question, though.
Good call though. Just like,
Can I see
all right,
it?
like I hear you, but like,
I mean, I'm even thinking like, I mean, I've never seen a bomb. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if I saw one.
I wonder if she was like doubting him or just like, "Ooh, can I see it?" Like, I saw that. So she asked to see the bomb. He quickly opened the briefcase and closed it, but it was enough time for her to see 8 red cylinders, wires wrapped in red shielding, and batteries. Sounds like a bomb to me.
I don't know.
If I
That
had to
sounds
draw
like
one,
someone who thinks they know what a bomb looks like would think. So he just threw in some wires, throw in a little LED, and some like batteries.
I don't
You
think
can
they
scare
had
anybody.
LEDs in the 70s. It would have been a large,
LEDs
like,
is back then.
halogen bulb. It was a
Throw in
candle.
one of those. I don't care. I'm not particular. I see something with a lot of wires. I'm scared.
If I had to draw a bomb in Pictionary, like, that's probably what I would draw. You know?
I would probably just draw a thing with a little fuse,
Yeah,
Oh, the
I guess
little
there's
round-
that.
That
because that would be faster, and so therefore a better strategy for Pictionary. So
I was
That's true.
thinking of something like some sticks tied to a clock.
Yeah, see?
that's something.
Like 8 red sticks and some wires. We're good. So, reportedly after this, he sat with his hand in the briefcase, holding a wire, ready to touch it to a battery to activate the bomb if he needed to. Which is a long, uncomfortable way to fly, if you ask me.
Didn't you just say you flew Spirit?
That's also a long, uncomfortable way to fly. Oh, it was so bad.
Oh,
And, like, we had to pay, like, $180 for our bags. It was crazy.
that's where they get you.
They get you everywhere. Every chance they get.
Oh,
Anyway,
Trying to make my bed.
so I think it's
There.
too late for that.
No, no one's the wiser.
So following this, he started to give his demands to Florence, who would take them to the pilot, who would radio them in to, I guess, the police or whatever. It was police and federal
Yeah.
authorities.
I would assume. I would hope.
Yeah, this is a whole ordeal as soon as you bring a bomb on an airplane. So he gave her his demands. He asked that she write them down and take them to the cockpit. He wanted $200,000 in U.S. currency. Some sources say that he requested $20 bills specifically. Some say that he didn't specify, but that they gave him $20 bills. Personally, if he didn't specify, I would have given him ones. It'd just be so much heavier, you know? So,
Easier to spend though,
yeah, and that's the thing is, like,
without being suspicious.
if he didn't specify, they might have tried to do, like, hundreds or something.
No, I hear you, but like
What are you going to carry it in?
a briefcase.
No,
don't
he's
think
got his
you
bomb in
have
there.
one in
Several
there.
briefcases. A backpack. You see,
Well-
you haven't, but that's Stranding. It's
So,
possible.
he did request that the money be delivered in a backpack. So, there you go.
The backpack.
There's your
There you
backpack.
go.
He demanded a fuel truck be on standby at the Seattle airport to refill the plane in kind of like a remote area of the airport. He also demanded 4 parachutes, 2 primary and 2 reserve. This is important. He was reportedly offered and rejected military issue parachutes because they are unable to be steered and they open automatically due to altitude. They can't be opened manually.
My man knew what he was doing.
Apparently, maybe. Also, maybe
Or-
not. The FBI says he
Playing
didn't.
too much Grand Theft Auto, and he was like, I basically know what I'm doing.
Yeah. But this is weird. A lot of people say he got military issue parachutes. A lot of people say he didn't. One thing, well, we'll get to that later. But he requested 4 civilian parachutes that could be opened manually with a ripcord and that he could steer. This is cool. This is cool because... Okay, so they had to go and get these parachutes from a school. It took forever. It delayed everything. But when he requested 4 instead of just 1, the police had to assume that he planned on taking someone with him if he jumped.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't give him a dummy parachute because that would risk killing a civilian. You know?
Cowards.
Very smart, if you ask me. I think that's probably the smartest part of this whole plan. Although he does have a lot more smart stuff here. So he seemed like a pretty bright guy. So when Florence returned from conveying his demands to the pilot, she noted that Cooper was now wearing dark wraparound sunglasses with dark frames. Which is just so cool.
He's getting cooler by the second.
Sunglasses inside. On an airplane. I don't know. So these are really famous. If you look at the police sketch of him, it's usually in those sunglasses. And they're kind of out of style now, but like for the 70s, probably pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So this 30-minute flight circled for about an extra 2 hours above the airport while they were scrambling to get all this together. During this time, they got together the cash from several local banks, and they took microfilm photos of each note so that they could be tracked later. I can't hear Emily. I don't know what she's doing.
I switched it to push to talk, and now I'm moving my keyboard closer so I can do that.
Okay.
Because that way I can keep the echo to a minimum.
Okay. So they took microfilm photos of each note so that they could be tracked, but they weren't marked or anything like that. They, like I said, they got the parachutes from a local flight school, and during this time, Cooper also made several comments implying that he was familiar with the area, particularly when it comes to air travel in the area. He noted landmarks around the airport, as well as approximately how far away the nearest Air Force base was, which was about a 20-minute drive, I think. Seems gutsy to do air crimes 20 minutes away from an Air Force base.
Gutsy or... No, gutsy, never mind.
Gutsy good or gutsy bad. Not sure.
I vote good.
I vote good, too.
But I'm also on his side, so...
It was said that his voice was low and steady, and that he was very calm and polite and well-spoken.
That joke was much funnier in my head.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
I guess so, yeah. I'm just going to put my phone here and keep reading. So he's very calm, polite, and well-spoken. This is my favorite part. This is why I love this guy. He even ordered a second drink, paid his drink tab, and then requested that Florence keep the change. So,
what a gentleman.
Yeah, he's doing a crime, but he still pays his tab, and he tips his server, you know? That's important.
So there's no excuse.
Also, it's like, no matter how he comes out of this, he doesn't need whatever money is in his pockets. You know what I mean?
There is that, yes, but that's not the point.
It's just so suave. It's like James Bond stole a plane. Anyway, when it was all done, the plane landed and the passengers were let off in exchange for the money. The guy who brought the money was some kind of law enforcement. I can't remember what exactly, but he came in plain clothes, delivered the backpack. Are you going to make a joke about plain clothes?
No, I just remembered that even though I'm pushed to talk for you guys, that my audio is still going through my stream. So I was just discussing that with her.
Oh, okay. So have you said anything interesting there?
No.
Okay.
Not typically.
Okay.
You can turn off push to talk if you would like.
But then the echo. Wait, that there's still an... Yeah, hold on. You keep talking.
Well, no, I'll wait. You do your thing.
Well, I realize that there's no point in turning off the echo if it's still gonna go through my stream.
Yep.
So I'm gonna fill the silence. What in the world? Oh, you're pressing the down button. I just started scrolling down.
Tanner, what you drinking?
Scotch and soda.
We're back. I'm drinking some Pepsi.
I have coffee. I'd rather have coffee with scotch, though.
Well,
They had doers on sale at the liquor store. So.
We talked about the liquor store
We
today.
passed
and
the
didn't go inside.
distillery twice.
But they've been closed both times.
That's true.
You passed a distillery? How do you even do that as a Texan?
There's a whiskey distillery up here, just down the street from the condo.
Okay.
And then they have a store in town. So,
Well,
like, both
knowing
directions.
all of this, I might
When
need
you
a
come
borrow.
up,
I
Tanner,
am-
come on up.
I want you guys to come up here so bad, but I don't know how the logistics would work, considering that me and Norm are kind of vital to running our store.
Well, I
I'm
talked
not.
to Des, and she said, yeah. I talked to Des. She said she has no problem burning the store down. So,
Oh.
Okay.
All right, so when are you guys meeting me up here? She can take
Yeah.
my shift next week.
how can we get up there, but in less than 18 hours, though?
Trade off
Flying
drivers.
Or, yeah, because it takes like 15 and a half if you aren't stopping for an hour and a half to nap.
I don't know
and
if Norman
stopping-
and I have ever been around each other for longer than like 2 hours. So
That's a good point. Well, I'm trying to think of how long the Shaft. Oh, I didn't. Never mind. I came in Saturday.
Shaft
No, you guys used to work
2019
shifts together.
was the best movie of the year, and I don't care what anyone says.
No, you're wrong. But also, you guys used to work shifts together. I'm not saying that any of them were 18
Oh,
hours.
that's true.
I guess
But
we
It
did.
may
Yeah.
help it though.
I don't remember like a single shift with Tanner, to be honest.
I usually worked with Ben, and I
I
think
don't
that just
either.
really fed my negativity.
Yeah.
Tanner was telling me a couple weeks ago that he was talking to someone else after a shift that Tanner and I worked together, and I was like, did we work together?
I think I came in right after I left, and it was like right when you started, and I had come
That
in. I
sounds
think I
right,
know what
honestly.
story you're talking about.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
like, but I just, like, it's, like, I don't think we ever worked together. We could have. I remember working with Tim a lot, but
I
those
never
not
worked
being,
with
like,
Tim.
Tim was, well, that was after I got promoted, so he would come in and help me with price changes on Wednesday mornings, and it turns out he does talk. He's very funny when he does.
Okay.
That-
I don't remember where I was, so I'm going to
Sorry.
read for a second. No, you're good.
Parachutes.
I'm glad you're back.
Plain.
Four parachutes.
And
Bill tab.
then also plain clothes.
And okay, keep the
Oh,
change.
I know, I get it. Plain clothes because he was in a plane.
Thank you.
I
Okay.
wasn't listening.
Um,
I was trying to figure this out.
Face
so he exchanged the passengers for the money. He did request that the pilot, the co-pilot, and a stewardess, Tina Mucklow, were kept on board.
What a name.
So they were. Yeah, it's an odd name. But
So
one of
why
the...
did you prefer over the one that he had already?
I don't know.
I thought they switched. This could be just. I thought they switched crews
They might have. It didn't say anything about that.
because, like, he was like very specifically not taking hostages.
I believe Tina Mucklow was on the flight to begin with, on the first flight. I think they had an interaction before they landed as well. But it wasn't noteworthy enough to be in the notes. So. But either way, an odd name, to be sure.
Mm-hmm.
So. Now I lost my place again. Okay. So Cooper was going to fly to Mexico, which is like what you do if you're going to do a crime in America. You fly to Mexico afterwards. That's the plan, right?
Yes.
So he directed the pilot to fly to Mexico City. They went back and forth about some stuff. It's worth noting that the pilot specified later that he chose the route that they traveled. Cooper only demanded a certain destination, not a certain route. He did have some really specific instructions as to the rest of it, though. He directed that they fly as low and slow as possible, which in a 727, it's about 10,000 feet, which is about a third of the height that you'd normally be at for like cruising altitude. And they were flying at a speed,
Ow.
huh?
We're at 7,000 feet right now.
See, he would have just barely skimmed over you.
He would have just scraped.
Buzz.
Just you could have high-fived when he went by.
No, I was not born.
They flew at a speed of about 103 knots, which is about 119 miles per hour. That's as slow as that plane can go without stalling. He demanded that the landing gear stay down in the landing position through the entire flight. The wing flaps were to be left at 15 degrees, and the cabin was to remain unpressurized, which I guess you can do at 10,000 feet. Seems like it'd be tough to breathe. I don't know. So the co-pilot said they wouldn't have enough fuel to make it to Mexico City, so they agreed to stop in Reno and refuel. Cooper demanded that the rear stairs... So a 727, this is why I had to look this up and kind of get into it. A 727 is one of the planes that came out around that time that has a rear stair that lowers just directly out the back of the plane. It's not on the side, so kind of important. He wanted to fly with that open. He wanted to take off with that open. And the pilot said that that wasn't safe and that he didn't want to do it. And Cooper
Yeah.
replied, it is safe, but I'm not going to argue. I'll open it when we're in the air. So, just, what a guy. So polite. I love it. I love this guy. The plane departed from Seattle at approximately 7:40 p.m. 2 Air Force planes, and I've heard reports that say also a larger, like, personnel carrier plane and a helicopter were scrambled, but definitely 2 jets were scrambled.
What does
They
that mean?
were sent up. They were told to go and fly. And
How could a helicopter follow that long? I don't know anything about helicopters. I just realized also.
I don't know, but they were just kind of like, hey, get some people up there. So, but definitely 2 jets went after him. They followed above and below the plane where they were out of his sight line, but they are not capable of flying slow enough to keep up, so they had to keep going forward and looping around. Very important. After takeoff, Cooper told Mucklow to wait in the cockpit with the door closed. And as she left, she says that she saw Cooper tying something to his waist. She assumes it was the bag of money. It's a backpack. I might put it on my back, but I guess he has a parachute to worry about.
Yeah.
So at around 8 p.m., 20 minutes after takeoff, a warning light went off in the cockpit indicating that the rear stairs had been lowered, just like he said he was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the crew, over the radio, they offered to come help, and he curtly refused. So I guess he was getting ready to go, you know?
No, I'm cool. Bye.
Yeah. Soon after that, the crew noticed a change in air pressure. It didn't come up on any instruments. They just noticed it. They felt it. So they assumed that meant the door was open, which it was. And they all just stayed in the cockpit. So they radioed back. He said he didn't want help. And they stayed in the cockpit and just waited. They radioed ahead to mark their location at around 8:13 when the back of the plane shifted up and they had to re-level the plane, assuming that it had lost some weight back there. They radioed ahead and said,
that 150-pound man, 200-pound man.
I don't know.
Almost needs to go.
I'm not a plane scientist. I don't know. But they said it.
Plus, he had $200,000.
Yeah, but what's that? Another 50 pounds max?
Not that
Still.
much.
I mean, I don't know.
If they added like 30 pounds of weights.
But if he's standing on the stairs and they're dragging and then he jumps off, maybe something happens. I don't know.
What's the plane again?
It's a Boeing 727. It's pretty big. Hearing the story, I thought it was pretty small. It's pretty big.
I've flown in those before.
You've flown in lots
So,
of-
I have.
fun fact, now they bolt the back stairs closed. Doesn't seem safe, but they do it.
It's a
So,
pretty big plane.
Well, okay, I do have a question. Does it
Okay.
open? So if the plane is going this way, does the do the stairs? Okay,
like that.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Because like otherwise that would be like a nightmare. Like, boom. That would just
Like
be no
what?
good.
How's the stairs go, Tanner?
It's
I missed
like if you ever seen a war movie where they're jumping out of like a cargo hatch in a
Yeah,
plane.
it goes out towards
It's
the
like
back.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the front of the plane. It's like
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that.
Good at shadow puppets.
Actually, I looked up the 727 and I just wanted a really clear idea of how it looked. And I got a lot of pictures that came up, so I had to Google 727 rear staircase, and a bunch of Dan Cooper stuff comes up when you Google that. So this is like the most famous 2 things to ever be associated with each other. So the best guess for when he jumped is about 8:13 when the plane did a wobbly thing. But it's just that. It's a guess. They're not sure. And they actually stayed in the cockpit and flew all the way to Reno and landed with the staircase down. So between 8 and the time they landed, he could have jumped out anywhere. But around 8, they were like over Portland, which is where he started. I have a feeling he jumped out over Portland.
27 rabbit hole.
Anyway, when it landed with the staircase down, it was surrounded by authorities and an armed search was conducted. Dan Cooper was not found to be on board. So they weren't sure if he jumped off at all. And if he did, they weren't sure when. But they searched the plane and he wasn't found there. So we jumped.
So did he take all 4 parachutes with him?
Well, on board, they found 66 fingerprints, Cooper's clip-on tie,
How do you have that many fingers?
You know, the guys, I've been trying to avoid, because I listened to the Do Go On episode about this today to, like, tune my notes.
Sure.
I've been trying to avoid their jokes, but that was one that they made, and they stayed on it for, like, 10 minutes.
Why can't we?
So it should be noted, Do Go On and BuzzFeed Unsolved. I listened to both of those today. They're fresh in my mind. I pulled from as many sources as I could because there's a lot of conflicting information. Those are cited pretty heavily in here. Go listen to them as well. They're very cool, but I felt like each one of those only covered parts of the story, and I wanted to try to put it all together. So they found 66 fingerprints, probably just from regular 10 fingers, but over and over again. Cooper's clip-on tie.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did they check? Were
What?
they like, yeah, this is 10 unique, and then they're just repeats? Because what if you had 11 fingers? That could.
I have to assume
Or 9.
that would have come up
Well, no, not necessarily.
in the physical description.
What'd you say?
I said I have to assume that would have come up in the physical description.
You don't know? You pay attention to how much. Do you count people's fingers?
You would notice if they had one extra or one fewer. Just
right.
looking at it.
He's right. No, he's right.
You would definitely notice. You can go online and just Google people with 6 fingers, and it just
I know
looks.
what it looks like.
It looks like something out of Alien. It's bizarre.
I'm saying you don't know that for sure. Is what I'm
You're
saying.
right. I don't. Either
I'm just
way, they found 66 fingerprints that they traced back to him in some combination of numbers.
And I dragged us out. My mission here is accomplished.
And they also found his clip-on tie, which kind of ruins the mystique. Because
Clip-on?
he had a clip-on. But, like,
He left it.
maybe it was like a tactical clip-on. Like, he needed to be able to rip it off in a hurry and jump, you know?
Absolutely. I mean,
Maybe
let's
he
be
was
honest
going
here,
for
like,
function.
Like, if you jump out of a plane with a tie, an actual
No
tie,
cape.
I don't know, you can, like, choke yourself or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no capes.
There's bound to be a Simpsons sketch about that or something. Also, like, they think that he took the tie off so that when he landed, he wasn't a guy in a full suit and tie.
Just a full suit instead.
But think about it, like, if you're gonna jump out of a plane and then ask someone for, like, a ride, if you're gonna hitchhike on the side of the road, you'd want to be in a suit, right? With a tie?
I wouldn't want
No.
to be on the side of the road, to be fair.
Well,
but
yeah,
here's
that's
my
true.
question: if he had a clip-on tie, how do we know he wasn't wearing tearaway pants? And the
We
jacket,
don't.
you just button it down.
We
and
don't.
take it off. Like, that one's easy.
When was tearaway
When we're
pants
talking
invented?
pants. Let's see.
I have a feeling they were invented in the 80s, but I know they were popular in the 90s.
Tearaway
Because I had some.
invented.
This could be the thing that breaks the case.
We've done it.
Again.
1967.
Whoa. Could be tearaway pants.
Interesting.
Wait. That's not what I asked at all. Oh, so tearaway pants are a style of pants
Oh, okay.
from Adidas from from 67.
Some would say a lifestyle.
I would have to agree.
So, anyway,
The 90s.
66 fingerprints, clip-on tie. 2 parachutes were still on board. One was opened and had been cut. He had cut 2 of the lines that attached to part of the parachute.
So no one could follow him.
Well, they think that he cut that to use the line to tie the money to his waist. Because they didn't find the lines.
So I do have a question then.
Okay.
In his demands, why didn't he just say, and also some like scotch
Some
tape?
rope.
Duct tape.
A little bit of rope.
Duct tape and baling wire.
You know, he got it done with what he asked for. So
Right, but he could have asked for more. Is what I'm saying.
How did he get a knife on an
He
airplane?
could have just used that and not had to do the tearaway.
Bam, we have cracked the case.
So
Wait, and then part 2 is if he took off the tie to be less recognizable on the side of the road, what are you going to do with money tied around your waist?
pay someone for a ride, I guess.
Well, you did the parachute and you put the backpack on your back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then why don't you just put the backpack on your front?
Well, that's where the reserve chute goes.
But he didn't bring one.
Yeah,
He did. He brought one primary and one reserve. But
Okay. I'm back on board.
So the primary might have been a military issue. It might not have been. It depends on what sources. Most of them say it was military issued, so it would open automatically, and it can't be steered. But the primary was a training dummy chute that was mistakenly given by the skydiving school, and actually not functional. It was sewn closed.
Oh, good.
So that's the one he took. Now, the guy who gave the parachutes to the
That's
authorities...
a good one.
The guy who gave the parachutes to the authorities says he personally packed the other 3, and he knows they were all functional.
Why didn't he pack all 4?
I don't know. So he definitely took one chute that didn't work.
Odd.
I mean, you get to the third one, you're like, what's the chances the other one doesn't work?
So I bet they had one on the shelf. He didn't know it was a training one, and he's like, oh man, we need 3 more. And he packs them up and then puts all 4 of them together. Something like that. So
I'm just saying, he knew what he was doing, but he, I don't know. Maybe he did it for the drama, because, he's asking for 4. So, we'll just make it a little more exciting for him.
What are the odds he kills a civilian with this one? You know? Oh, man. So, okay. So, one of the first suspects, this is important, was an unfortunately named D.B. Cooper in Oregon, who had a small criminal record, just a pretty average guy, small-time criminal.
But could he fly?
He was questioned and cleared very quickly because he had a very strong alibi.
Was he in jail?
Go ahead, Norman.
What qualifies as small-time criminal?
Like petty theft, mostly.
Oh.
Yeah.
What were you hoping for?
He wasn't like a hijacking a plane in a brilliant way kind of guy, but he also he was at work or something during all of this, so he was cleared. But a newspaper reporter, an unknown newspaper reporter, was in a rush to meet his deadline, picked up the name D.B. Cooper, thought it was the alias that was used at the airport, Dan Cooper, and ran it, and the press just loved it. And so, from then on, he was known as D.B. Cooper, despite the fact that he never used that name. He only ever claimed to be Dan.
Cool name. Dan. I'm cool Dan. Come on.
So that's Dan Cooper. He was originally charged with air piracy, or something similar to that. That has a 5...
Wait, where was his eye patch? Don't laugh at that. That was the worst joke I could have made.
So that has a 5-year statute of limitations. After about the 5-year mark, they were like, "No, we don't want that."
Wait. So you're saying I could steal a plane, hide for 5 years, and then I'm cool?
Well,
no. Maybe the bomb added to that.
Well, no. I don't want the bomb. I'm not. I'll get the. Okay, you know what?
No. You have to have the bomb.
Well, I know that hijacking was huge.
There were a lot of copycats, and a couple people that did it before him.
No, I mean, when I was a kid, there were hijackings taking place all the time.
Why would you ever fly? Why did it take 9/11 to get more security then?
No, there was other security that...
No, okay.
There was a little bit of security.
I understand your face, but I'm saying that...
Look up some numbers real quick.
Post 9/11, how many hijackings have you heard of? Handful.
They were really big in the 70s. And then I think it was just the penalties got huge and they stopped giving in to demands and, we don't negotiate with terrorist stuff.
Well, right, but that wasn't until the thousands.
They stopped being so prevalent. It stopped being the crime of choice. But I mean, I remember seeing that in the news all the time when I was a kid.
What?
Or it felt like it.
The world was America. You know what? Still, never mind. I take it back. I've seen the news lately.
There's a Canadian guy that tweeted, like, sometimes he feels like he lives in the apartment above a crack house. And I can't argue with him. So...
Yeah, how many shootings have there been this week from someone going, hey, could you wear your mask, please?
Anyway, so he was originally charged with that. It had a 5-year statute of limitations. They've since adjusted the charges. And now what he's charged with has no statute of limitations, meaning if he's found even today, he can still be charged. And
I feel like
and...
only for him specifically, they should grandfather him in.
Well,
like,
if he was found today, he'd be in his 90s. So, are you gonna arrest like a 95-year-old man?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's
he
the point?
Gonna do? He's already lived his life.
If you really,
really
want to take away his mobility, just kick his walker away from him. He'll be fine.
He jumped out of a plane. You think he uses a walker?
Judging by the conditions in which he jumped. So, now we'll talk about that. Some people claim that because of his technical knowledge of the area and stuff like that, even one of the key suspects, which we'll talk about later, is a former paratrooper in the Army. They think that he was an experienced jumper. The FBI says that they have no reason to believe that he was an experienced jumper. They said it was pitch black with cloud cover at 5,000 feet. So they said no experienced jumper would jump in those conditions. He couldn't see anything.
Counter offer. What choice did he have?
True. Well, I guess he could have stayed on the jet and just tried to go to Mexico. But
I feel like we could maybe test something. Maybe like if you told an experienced jumper, "Hey, we're gonna strap a bunch of money to you. Will you jump in these conditions?"
You can keep the money.
If you make it, you can keep the money.
That's how you gotta make it sweet.
So
I feel like
maybe. So some
Depending
jumpers,
on the money, I'd do it. Frankly,
some experienced people say that after 5 or 6 practice jumps, a person could have made this very easily. The government says if he knew what he was doing, he would have known better because it was pitch black. There were clouds halfway between him and the tree line, so he wouldn't have been able to see to open his chute in time. By the time he saw the trees, it would have been too late.
Also, aren't clouds like really cold?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is he wasn't dressed for a jump. It would have been well below freezing at the altitude he was at, and he was just in a regular suit. He was in a raincoat.
You don't know that for sure.
But
he could have had long johns on.
I guess he could have. But there were people that said no one would do this in loafers. So it's been thrown around.
Yeah, not cowards.
No one's sure the status of his experience leading up to this. However, I guess we'll go ahead and talk about one of the suspects. So one of the suspects was... Let me find my notes. I'll just look here. Kenneth Christensen. This is, I think, the most interesting suspect because he first came into kind of the public eye when his brother, Lyle Christensen, watched an episode of Unsolved Mysteries about D.B. Cooper and was like, hey, that sounds like my brother. And so he called in and he reported it to the FBI.
Just going to airports and going, can you please give me some money?
Which,
I'm going to go.
What a narc brother. Like...
I'd do it.
I mean...
Well, did he get the money? Did his brother get any money?
No.
Yeah.
So he
yeah, I'd be mad too.
He reported his brother to the FBI. They were like, "Nah, we got this. We're not interested." He ended up getting an author to look into it, and they were hoping to have a movie done. And then the government started looking into it again, and a lot of people think this is the guy. There's some circumstantial evidence that points to him, like he was fond of cigarettes and bourbon. But who in the 70s wasn't?
But, yeah, I was about to say, I've watched Batman.
He was a trained Army paratrooper. which, okay.
Well, that is a little closer, yeah.
He was employed by Northwest Orient, the airline that got hijacked.
Oh, wow.
He actually had 3 different jobs there. He moved up quite a bit. He ended up being I can't remember what it's called. It was some weird word, or it seemed weird. Give me a second. He ended up being a... Y'all can talk during this. A purser.
Words and things.
I don't know what a purser is.
While you're looking that up, I was looking up statistics, and in the 70s, there were 60 notable hijackings.
Wow, that's too many.
Too many.
I would say.
There you go. As I said, when I was a kid, hijacking was popular.
That is insane.
In my lifetime,
There were like
I can
there were
recall-
like 34 in the 80s, and then it's dropped off dramatically since then.
I can recall a pretty significant one. I mean, I
9/11?
don't remember it happening, but yeah, like...
I
Yeah,
do.
you don't remember
I was
9/11, how old were you?
I was 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I don't remember
It's
how
more
old.
than 4 a month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's 1 a week.
Well, no, it was over 10 years. There were 60 of them.
Okay.
Over
So that's
10. Okay.
at
Over the
least
17.
one every 2 months.
That's still too many. I'm going to go
That's
ahead and
yeah,
say.
that's too many.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
he
those
was
only the notable ones.
he was employed as a purser for the airline, which is the person who is principally responsible for the handling of money on board.
So then we could have just pocketed $5 every time, made that money in a few years.
Yeah.
A respectable way.
So some other
Just petty
circumstantial evidence was that he reportedly bought a house in cash shortly after the crime. That's a little...
You wait a minute. You wait a little bit.
That's a little damning. Yeah, it was like real soon after. That
I wait at
said,
least a year.
there are some problems with this theory. Primarily, the FBI
He's
doesn't
been
think
dead
that he
since
would
the
be
60s.
experienced. He doesn't match the physical description at all, which is thought to be really accurate considering it was given by stewardesses who sat with him for hours just looking at him in the bomb.
Maybe she
Also,
would try, and she was like, "Yeah, I hear
oh,
you."
look, he sounded like he was about 6 feet tall. Also, the house in cash might be exaggerated. There's evidence that he had a mortgage on it that it took 17 years to pay off.
That's how I would do
So-
it. That's the least suspicious way to do it.
I would be impressed if I could pay off a mortgage in 17 years at this rate.
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
16.
that's
Keep
nice.
the rich.
Eat the rich. So I don't think this guy did it. Just if I'm weighing in, I don't think it was this guy. I don't have any idea who I do think it is. I don't think it was him. A lot of people think he just died in the jump. Someone said he's in a tree somewhere and we won't find his body till deer season. So that seems about right to me. There are a couple other notable suspects. There was a person named Richard Floyd McCoy, who...
Yeah, he did it. He did it.
Well, he did a very similar hijacking later in which he demanded $500,000 and 4 parachutes, and he was very quickly caught. He also matched the physical description pretty
Oh.
closely.
Okay, but to be fair, I'd say about half of white men do.
That is fair. So they ruled him out because he didn't match the physical description closely enough, is
He
what the
wears
FBI said. Which
How much later was it?
it was in 1972. It was the next year.
Oh, the next year. It's like, because you can put on some weight or something, shave.
Well, he
Like, I
was
don't
like
know.
a little shorter.
You can.
That's harder.
You.
That's harder. Just don't. Just don't.
No, you go up in the space. Don't you get shorter in space?
You
Oh,
get
you get
taller
taller
in
in
space, and it only
Or you go
lasts
to the
for a
bottom of the
little bit.
ocean.
Just
For a
put
little
a bunch
bit,
of
and
books
then-
on your head. It'll crush your spine.
So,
Or you just slouch. You just walk around like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I look taller than you.
I'm not him. But he hijacked a Boeing 727 as well. He tried for the same exact thing. I think he's just a copycat.
It sounds like a copycat.
My
flew too close to the sun.
favorite suspect is Dwayne L. Weber.
I've changed my mind. No, I cannot trust any Dwayne. I've never met one, but I just know.
What about The Rock Johnson?
So
He does not count.
Yeah, his name is The Rock, Norm. So Dwayne, on his deathbed, pulled his wife in close and said, "I have a confession. I'm Dan Cooper," and then died.
What if he went,
So he confessed to being Dan Cooper on his deathbed.
Good.
This is interesting because he matches the physical description, although the FBI dismissed it because his DNA didn't match what was found on the tie that was found on the plane. And his fingerprints didn't either.
6 fingerprints?
I do make a habit, though, of licking all of my ties, so I can see why they would... How do you get DNA off a tie?
You put it on.
You just put it... You get DNA from a tie from just putting it on.
DNA sheds like crazy.
So does my cat. I'm just saying that he could have just put on... it could have just been someone's DNA. Like, oh, there's a tie here. Hey, guys, I found a tie. Ooh.
Surely they knew to wear gloves by the 70s. Like,
but if they had 66 fingerprints, they could just match...
So he also didn't match the fingerprints. But he did reportedly for many years have nightmares where he would talk in his sleep about leaving fingerprints on a plane and things like that. So
that's such a specific thing.
It's such an oddly specific thing.
That's gonna be my new nightmares. Mom, I just I'm gonna come into your room tonight. Mom, I just stripped about leaving fingerprints on a plane.
Curious. So let's say that he was actually the guy, right?
Right.
What happens? What can you do from there? Like, does his assets get taken? Like,
statute of limitations, baby.
Yeah, I think if you're dead, they can't put you in jail.
They can't.
No, like the things that you use, the money that he used.
I bet that I don't think Northwest Orient is still around. I'm sure they've been acquired by a bigger airline.
Yep.
But if they've been acquired, then
if they're still like a damaged party, they could probably sue his estate in civil court. But like, what would be the point?
But you can't prove it because you can't go through a trial.
That's true. But civil trials are different than criminal trials, and no one's innocent until proven guilty in civil court.
Alright, here's what we do. You two go rob a bank. Give the other two of us money. Then die. And then what are they going to do?
Well, then we would be arrested for receiving stolen property.
We also are, well, you told us, so...
And we're streaming this.
Yeah.
So...
All right.
Never do this.
Edit.
So I like this guy. I don't know. I don't think it's him, but man, it's a fun story. You know? Everyone probably confessed to being Dan Cooper on their deathbed back then. That was probably like the best thing to do.
I'm absolutely going to do that.
I'm
who
Dan
else?
Cooper.
So
I was
You weren't
negative
born yet.
negative 26. I'm Dan Cooper. Also, a very
about right.
small woman.
So
I was only 5'10", but that's all I got
interestingly,
You're a little bit shorter than
going. 6 foot.
yeah.
interestingly,
By about a foot and a half.
Interestingly, in 1980, some of the money was recovered. Come on. Some of the money was recovered.
Ooh.
There we go. $5,800 of the $20 bills were found buried in the sand along the Columbia River. In what is it? It's over by Vancouver, Washington, which I don't know. But they found the money buried. Was damaged around the edges, and there were holes in it, like it had been eroded. It was all buried together, which was weird, but only $5,800 of it was buried together. So no one's sure about that, but it was found by like a father
Tipping
and
the ground
son.
for getting him to land safely.
No, he was burying it to see if it would triple. The tree would grow and you'd get 3 times.
That's such a niche joke.
Sorry.
I get it.
Is that an Animal Crossing?
Barely.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
It's as good as I get game-wise.
it was found by like a father and a son, and the son
Did they get to
actually
keep it?
reported it. He got to keep part of it, and his share actually sold for like hundreds of thousands of dollars to an auction, like for collectibles.
Hey guys, I found this $20 bill.
Like
Give me
$1,000
$300 for it.
He made so much money off that. But what's odd about that is it was only part of the money, but it was together, and it was eroded. So people think that it might have
But it had a
washed
serial number, right?
downstream. Huh?
He said
Yeah,
that.
they had the serial
Oh.
numbers. They have microfilms. People think it washed downstream, and that it was buried somewhere else, and it's like 20 miles outside of where they were searching, where they thought he might have landed. So they think it might have washed 20 miles downriver, and that's why it took so long to find it. It's a whole mess, but that's the only evidence that has been discovered credibly since then. So it's going on 50 years?
Be careful
And,
with that math.
That sounds right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't
It
know.
was 32 years ago.
49. But you're my favorite.
Don't look at me like that.
22-year-old.
I'm scared.
So,
For a second, I was like, I'm 23.
Not yet.
No, not for several more months.
You're still a baby.
I know.
so that's the only physical evidence, other than a part of one of the 2 parachutes may have been discovered in 2008, and in 2017, another part of the 2 parachutes, as well as some foam that may have been from the backpack, was discovered by people who were hunting this, like just amateur people like
And
us.
then don't forget the 6 set of fingerprints.
What?
6 sets. The 6 sets of fingerprints.
What do you, the
Because
it's
he has 11
6 point.
Because he had 11 fingers.
Oh, okay. Anyway, those were discovered the next day. I'm talking about 2017 now.
No, but you said all the physical proof, and I'm adding, don't forget.
Oh yeah, the fingerprints, the tie pin was also there. The mother of pearl tie pin. Speaking of the tie, this is directly from the BuzzFeed Unsolved episode, and I did not look it up. So if it's wrong, go to them, not me.
Nice.
There's a group of people. They're citizen sleuths, is what they call themselves. They do this and they love it, and it's great. They
Isn't that
got a
what
hold
we
of the
do? We're
tie.
Armchair detectives.
Yeah, basically.
No.
But they sound like they kind of know what they're doing. They got a hold of the tie, ran it under an electron microscope, and they found a bunch of rare earth elements, like pure titanium and stuff like that, in the tie. Not common stuff, but it's stuff that could be found if you worked at, say, a Boeing facility where they manufacture their planes. That's one place where all of these elements can be found. So there's a theory that he was a Boeing employee, higher up like a supervisor. He would have worn his tie on the floor to work, and then used his knowledge of the plane to hijack it. So they theorize that there's someone out there who knows.
I would think that if you had somebody who worked for the industry who suddenly disappeared from their job,
And also, he happened to be named Dan Cooper.
well, I mean, even if he's not Dan Cooper, but if they just suddenly disappear about the time all this is going on,
I
I
would
think that's
disappear.
where I'd be looking first.
Personally,
Right.
I would disappear like 6 months later. I'd just
Well,
be like, by the way,
like, go back into work, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Show
Yeah.
up for work for 6 months or something, and then
Well-
I took another job.
but here's the thing.
And
you
so
don't go in
the
with a clip-on tie. You go in with a real tie because you got money now.
the other important thing is, do you remember the date that I said in the beginning? The first thing I
Nope.
said.
Absolutely not.
November
June.
24th, 1971, the day before
Yep.
Thanksgiving. So, he would have probably had an extended break from work for Thanksgiving, committed the crime, and then he maybe could have even gone back after that, finished out a little more work, and then who knows?
Well, here's the thing also. Wait, so if you worked in like the manufacturing maybe, but I know like there's still flights on Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah. That's what. If he worked for Boeing, they would be making planes, not flying them.
Right, but I'm just saying, I don't trust capitalism to give you Thanksgiving off. As someone who only got this last Thanksgiving off by a week.
So, man, that's bold to say to your manager.
It's me.
There. Right. Well, they didn't want us both working on the same day, which I am grateful for. But it was my first Thanksgiving off in 5 years.
Hey, that's nice though. You got a Thanksgiving.
It was very nice.
We had a little Friendsgiving with my mom also.
Mom cooked.
Mom cooked because she's an angel, but we knew that.
You're sucking up because it's almost Mother's Day.
I already got you stuff.
That's true.
I'm sucking up because I know you know where I sleep.
And you sleep very soundly and much later than I do.
Tanner, looks like you got something.
Yeah, so I was reading about the bills that were found. Apparently he found 190 bills, which should come out to like $5,800, maybe. I don't know, I didn't do the math. He had 190 bills that were in his possession. And he sold 15 bills in auction in 2008 for $37,000. So
he still got some of those bills.
He still got some, and they're worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.
If he sells them in like packs of 15, would their value go down? Because now the market's more saturated.
Is it more saturated though? Like, we know exactly how many there are, and they're a limited run.
No, sure. But like, if you keep the rest of them and you're like, I'm only giving up these 15, then I think that would go up higher. And then you sell it for that much, and the next person, you're like, all right, I'm giving out another 15. It's like, okay. I don't think I need to pay as much then.
Well, he might not have done a pack of 15. He might have sold 15 as separate items at an auction. So I'm just saying he should have done it spaced out and then not... I'm just saying he could have made a lot more money, I bet. But he's also like 11, so... You know?
I would pay for it personally, so I don't know how much that would be worth to me.
There was one more piece of physical evidence that I forgot. There was a printed placard with instructions for lowering the aft stairs of a 727 that was found in the woods by a deer hunter near Castle Rock, Washington. So, Vancouver, Washington, Castle Rock, Washington. Seems like he's kind of around there, you know? Mm-hmm. Or maybe he just threw that out way before he jumped.
It's like when I hear stories like when I hear stories like this, I always wonder, like, am I not reporting things I should? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if I was like walking in the forest, okay.
You found a not body.
You found cardboard.
It could have been from the plane.
But like, I get what you're saying. Like,
no, I was scared.
40 years later, I don't think cardboard would still exist. Just saying.
Okay.
No, Norm, I get what you're saying. Like, if I were to walk on that without having heard about stealing a plane, I would just think it was trash in the woods. You know?
Absolutely.
So
it's just really strange. Like,
yeah, it's a whole strange story.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool, though. What do y'all think?
I don't believe in D.B. Cooper.
Of course you don't.
You do believe in Dan Cooper,
I think
right?
he's a... No, I don't believe in any Coopers. I've never met one. No, I think that this is one of those cases that's extra interesting because we know for sure it happened, but we don't know what happened. And
I don't think we ever will.
Yeah.
Definitively.
That's one of those things that bothers me, though. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I just want to know.
Yeah. I need to know what happened to Carol Baskin's husband.
He was eaten by tigers. Case closed.
Almost definitely. So, Norm, what do you think?
I was about to give my Carol Baskin theory.
Okay. Well, I think it's pretty cool. No, yeah, that's I feel like I have heard that story, but I definitely don't remember it.
You might. I mean, it comes up a lot.
It's a super popular one.
My favorite time that I heard a rendition of it was during Prison Break, Season 1. One of the prisoners that he co-ops into his little group that's going to escape is... He does the math and puts together that it was Dan Cooper, and he only includes him in the escape because he needs the money that he knows is buried somewhere out there. So
you know what? Maybe that's why, because I remember loving Prison Break Season 1.
Yeah. So that was the old guy that I think dies during the escape. Spoiler alert for a show from 15 years ago. So that was pretty interesting. And in that version, he had been arrested driving to Mexico for, I think it was like vehicular manslaughter. And he was arrested under his real name, but he had buried the money and was driving to Mexico to lay low. And so that's pretty interesting.
Someone?
Well, yes, and accidentally ran over someone. Accidentally ran over someone.
I'm surprised there's not a movie about this.
I think there might be, but it's one of those low budgets.
I'm sure there is.
Speaking of, we do have a Goatman documentary we could watch.
Oh no!
It was posted on one of my spooky channels the other day. No, I didn't. No, no, we watched a new one. We watched that movie that we talked about.
Yes, the one that you were going to watch when the show ended.
Waste of an hour and a half, and that's coming from me.
And that's saying something. Yes. Troll Hunter.
Wait, like the Dutch one?
Troll 2 is a bad movie.
Troll Hunter, the Dutch movie?
I believe it's Norwegian.
Yes.
Ah.
Still
bad.
No, nuh-uh.
I didn't care for it. I own it on DVD, though.
I love that movie. They were going to make an American remake, and I'm glad it fell through.
Yes, you just...
Yeah, but a lot of these are documentaries. There's a Pursuit of D.B. Cooper. I thought there was like a low budget. Hold on. There's a movie coming up, or it's already out, like D.B. Cooper versus... Hold on.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter versus D.B. Cooper?
Versus... No. D.B. Cooper versus Bigfoot.
Bigfoot versus D.B. Cooper.
That's plausible, though, if he landed in the forest.
There you go.
It's on Prime. Ooh.
Is it out?
1.3 stars.
Yeah.
We should watch it.
14, baby.
We should definitely watch that.
Hold on, let me make sure.
I refuse to watch anything with people.
It is on Prime.
We should watch it. I'm very interested in this.
Oh my.
Look at this. Hold on. Hold this, please.
Got it.
I love it.
Look at that style.
How accurate is the movie?
I would have to say...
It got 1-point-something stars.
There's a lot of good recommendations from this, too. So, I'm just saying, we've got a full night ahead of us.
You might.
Oh, yeah, I don't expect you to do this.
Thank you.
I wouldn't put you through that torture. We do need to watch Troll 2 soon,
Can we
though.
watch...
classic.
There's this movie that's been popping up in my recommended that I really want to watch as well. It's called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot. Can we watch that?
Is that the full title?
Yes, The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot. And
I've seen trailers for that. That actually does look entertaining.
It stars Sam Elliott, and he's like my favorite.
What? Was Sam Elliott in the movie we watched today? Or is that a different Sam?
You would know.
Sam Rockwell.
You would remember that voice if he was. Anyway.
I want to watch Velocipaster real bad. It's on Prime, and it's not part of the watch party for Twitch, because a lot of Prime things are on the watch party thing for affiliates right now.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, there are some bangers on there, so there's, like, Psych, but not Velocipaster, and I don't know why.
I don't know.
I'm positive there are going to be boobs in it, though, so I'm going to say that's the only reason.
Probably.
I'm in.
So, like, every movie you watched with your dad growing up?
Yeah. Like, I won't even make you watch that one, the Legend of the Goatman or whatever it was. It was not even.
No, that was bad.
Genuinely just bad. Like,
and
it wasn't fun. It was
I watch bad things.
I like campy bad.
No,
I don't like
it
bad.
It was just like the budget was how much? Like $2,000? No, it was like
4,000.
It was in the hundreds. I thought.
Was it 200?
Oh,
hold on.
Hold on.
Now you guys are all gonna look it up. Yeah. We have completely digressed from Dan Cooper.
We have.
No, we're on the topic of movies. Where'd we go? Where'd we go?
What was that movie called?
I don't remember.
Was it just called Goatman?
Search history.
I listened to that during my drive up.
I didn't.
Ruthless.
But my drive was only 12 and a half hours.
I made a mistake.
Yeah, I can't find it. Anyway.
It's Legend of Goatman.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, maybe it's not. Is there an?
Did you find another movie?
I did find another movie. Hold on. It says starring Morgan Freeman.
Just want to point out, I can't understand anything you say when you do that.
Oh, okay. It is starring the Morgan Freeman. I thought it was like someone just had the name of Morgan Freeman, but I clicked on the thing and that's Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, that's his face.
So we might have to watch that. Add to watch list. There we go. Ooh, Port Chapman, Harry Man. Yeah, that's my watch list. My Prime is full of psych and bad documentaries.
Psych is good though.
No, it is.
Oh yeah, Psych is awesome.
We should wrap this up before we get too far down this rabbit hole.
That's a good call. I agree.
All right. I'm done, you know? I said my thing. It was long. Y'all have anything else to say? That was it. Y'all have anything else to say?
Let me find the budget and then I will... Sorry, you go first.
Oh, no, I got nothing else to say. Excellent story.
Thank you.
Yeah, I liked it. It's one of those it's a classic story. And I think you told it well.
Thank you. Anything else? Y'all want to sign off? Budget $200.
Yep, there it is.
All right, now we can go to bed. All right, I'm Tanner. You can find me at I'm Still Tanner on Twitter. It says that right by my name if you're watching the video. That's pretty much it.
I'm Norm. You can find me at Unhappy Bananas on most everything. If you're also watching the video, I'm right there.
You're on the bottom for me.
Well, yeah, for Tanners.
That's true. Well, I am Emily. You can find me everywhere at Ninja Squirrel, NJASQRL. You can find... Do you want to plug anything?
I'm Mom, and I'm at IT Security Mom on Twitter.
And there's Marty. Well, don't say "aw." You haven't seen a smile. You've met him.
I've met Marty. Marty gets
a face only his dad could love.
He's such a handsome boy.
Oh, the internet loves.
You can find us at channel3media.com. You can find us also at Spook Troop Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Tweet at us. Send us any messages. We read all of them. You can also go to our website to suggest any topics and give us any feedback. The whole 9 yards. You can also check out our merch.
We have some good-looking merch.
Got some good-looking merch.
I like my merch.
I gave her some for her birthday.
There's a whole testimony right there. All right.
There it is. Also, me. I like mine, but I'm biased. So, hey. Also, can we add masks to our store? They're selling those now on Redbubble.
Yes, we can.
I need one that just says "Sorry, Mom." Just put "Sorry, Mom" across the face.
That's so like
Can we trademark that?
You have to put "Sorry, Mom" and then really small spoop troops so that people know. Because, like, I wore So Catherine got me an Eddie Burback sweatshirt. It just says "Yikes." I wore that to the grocery store the other day, and the girl went, "Yeah, I like that." And I was like, "You don't get it, but I appreciate it." Like, I understand. It's much more poignant now than when I first got it.
All right, I'll get started on masks after this. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream.
Bye, everyone. Sorry, Mom.
Bye.
Bye.